Hello and welcome to another episode of Very Japanese Games, where I review games only released in Japan. And today, I'm sure most of you out there at least have heard of Atlas and their Shin Megami Tensei series. And most of those have actually been released outside of Japan. But today, we're not going to be talking about Shin Megami Tensei. We're going to be talking about a different series that's kind of related to Shin Megami Tensei, and that's Majin Tensei. And Majin Tensei is a spin-off series. It's a tactical RPG. And though I'm holding up Majin Tensei, we're not actually talking about Majin Tensei today. We're talking about the final game in the Majin Tensei series. More specifically, Rondo for the Sega Saturn. Okay, before I start showing you this game, I have to preface it. This game is hideous. No, seriously, it's one of those Saturn-era games where the developer thought it would be a good idea to throw in ugly 3D polygons and subpar cutscenes at every given chance. The voice acting is also pretty bad. So you may wonder why I'm talking about it at all. Well, if you can look beyond the terrible graphics and the bad voice acting, the core of Rondo is actually a pretty good strategy RPG with familiar Shin Megami Tensei elements. So, imagine a more in-depth but drastically worse-looking Saturn-era 3D version of Devil Survivor on the DS. Anyway, here's a part of the opening scene for Rondo. It's actually one of the best looking parts of the game. Once the game actually starts, it's all downhill from here. But let's get into it. In Rondo, you start out as 5 characters: Asuka, who's the main character, Sakurako, Keita, Satoshi, and your faithful dog Joker. And you're at a museum viewing a recently unearthed Aztec crystal statue, and suddenly the statue comes to life as the demon Molech, who's not an Aztec god actually, but he immediately kidnaps Satoshi and leaves demons to deal with the rest of you. Using weapons you find in the museum, the battle, and the basic story begin. As you can see here, the scenario maps look subpar. The characters all look half complete or like they come from some very early or very budget Saturn title. And when battle begins, you're brought into a more close-up animation of the enemy and the character that's fighting. These also look pretty bad, but as a fan of the Majin Tensei series, I found myself enjoying the poor 3D renditions of familiar enemies. If it seems too slow for you, you can actually turn it off, so it's not so bad. While the gameplay seems a bit slow at points, I didn't find it to be any more slow than most other strategy RPGs at the time. In fact, if you turn off the extra animations, battles can be finished at a brisk pace with the right game plan. The game, while being ugly to the point of looking unfinished, is actually a lot of fun when the battle starts. It's a 3D grid-based strategy RPG with a surprisingly large amount of customization and flexibility. The initial battle works as a basic tutorial for standard melee combat. As the stages progress, more battle functions and customizability begin to open up. You quickly start learning about demons and having them join your party. You'll learn about making contracts with demons for use of magical powers. You'll also learn, like other Shin Megami Tensei games, how to fuse 2 demons into more powerful demons, or fuse demons with weapons to make stronger weapons. There's also a registration and recall system for demons you've previously used, much like other Megaten games. With the amount of usable demons and the amount of characters that you can recruit, the chances that you have to build a custom party suited to your own specific playstyle and needs is quite high. In this game, unlike others in the series, you can't directly communicate with demons. After you defeat a unit, there's a random chance that the demon may start a conversation with you though. From there, it works like other Mega 10 games where you must choose the right conversation topics and possibly give gifts to recruit the demon. Demons that you recruit can be used in your party, but creating a party still requires that you use most of your human characters. Some characters are something called a conductor, which allows them to make contracts with certain demon types. To get higher level demons, these conductors must also be leveled up, and you meet more and more of them throughout the story. The main difficulty comes in character death conditions. No human characters are allowed to die on any map. If they do, it's automatic game over. The demon characters that you recruit into your party can be summoned and killed without ending the game, so it adds an extra level of strategy into each battle. Another point about the game is that there may be some balance issues with weapons. For example, on the first time I played through, I found it to be quite challenging at some points, though on the second time I found a seemingly game-breakingly unbalanced weapon called the Omega Sword that made formerly difficult areas much easier. Between battles, you're often given story-expanding cutscenes or points where the characters come together to talk. These scenes, while awful-looking, aren't bad story-wise. If anything, one of the stronger parts of the game is that the story is enjoyable. Also, I don't think it's that hard to handle this game in Japanese only. Of course, you don't get the full impact of the story, but the menus are mostly in English, and the tutorial sections, while text-heavy, show on-screen prompts using the English menus. Also, because it's on the Sega Saturn, importing and playing on a US Saturn is as easy as having an action replay cartridge. In Japan, when this game came out, there was a bit of controversy with it, not because of the content, but because of the quality. This game was highly anticipated, but when a demo of it was released, it only had the first stage, which didn't allow you to do half of the mechanics of the game, and also showcased the terrible graphics, which pretty much killed all the hype for this game, and pretty much killed the Majin Tensei series after that as well. Overall, this game is a rich but ugly strategy RPG. If given a chance though, it's actually quite a lot of fun to play through. The story is good, and the music is fitting for the scenes. It's just the terrible graphics that sunk this game, and with it, the entire Majin Tensei series off into oblivion. I recommend this game to fans of the demon collecting and fusing mechanics of the Mega 10 and Persona games, or for those who like the Devil Survivor series but wish it had a bit more depth in its battle mechanics. So that wraps up this episode of Very Japanese Games, and I hope I was able to introduce you to another great Japanese game that wasn't released outside of Japan. And until next time, keep on supporting great games, no matter where you live.